You don't want a boy, because he might be 40, but he behaves like a boy, shouting at you of what he's got to do. I mean, he shouldn't bring that up in the subject whatsoever.
King Charles is standing on the edge of a decision that could define not only his reign, but his entire legacy as a monarch and as a father. The big question, will he risk seeing Prince Harry face to face during Harry's London visit? But let's not pretend this is some sweet family reunion. Oh no, this is a high-stakes royal chess game. Charles knows all too well that the opponent across the board isn't just his son. Harry might be hiding much more than words. For years, whispers have floated through palace walls that Harry secretly records private royal moments. Once just rumors, those whispers are now roaring like thunder. From Buckingham to Montecito, everyone is talking about it. Senior royals treat every single interaction with Harry like a looming PR trap, terrified that even a casual chat could be weaponized against them.
Well, it's worse, actually. Yes, the things that he's demanded, I'll tell you, 3 things. One is that his father got to pay out of his own money protection for 4 of them. He wasn't allowed this in the courts because he's no longer a working royal.
Charles avoids phone calls, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. One private call could explode into a scandal. One hug could be twisted into tomorrow's shocking headline, a single slip of the tongue. Netflix gold for Harry and Meghan's next storyline. And let's be real, Harry hasn't helped himself here. Remember when he suddenly flew in for that last-minute meeting at Clarence's house? 12 minutes, no warning. He threw the king's schedule into chaos, left everyone scrambling, and the encounter was painfully awkward. After that disaster, Charles reportedly laid down hard rules. No private one-on-one meetings, no off-the-record chats, and absolutely no moments unless a witness is present. The king simply cannot afford to take the risk.
To Buckingham Palace have got to deal with the press, any photographers, because they don't want anything that's not friendly and warm. This is for men.
But here's the jaw-dropping twist. Even if a meeting were to happen, palace insiders whisper about a humiliating catch. Would Harry agree to be searched before entering the room? Yes, you heard that right. Searched. We're talking full security protocols, pat-downs, scanners, the works. Why? Because the fear is real. The palace suspects Harry might try to record the meeting, maybe not to harm his family outright, but perhaps as evidence for himself, or more dangerously, as future content. Charles still carries the deep scars of the Diana media wars. He has sworn never to walk into that kind of trap again.
Is that Meghan has got to be given the HRH, which is Her Royal Highness, and everybody's got to, from now, curtsy or bow to her. She's done absolutely.
And let's not forget the Camilla factor. Behind palace doors, the queen consort is drawing hard lines. She's furious at the thought of Charles giving Harry even a shred of softness. Her fear that Charles's sentimental side could be exploited. She knows how Meghan operates. Give her an inch, she takes a mile. And with Netflix circling like vultures waiting for royal drama to fuel their content, Camilla sees danger at every turn. At the heart of all this is one word: trust. Or more accurately, the complete collapse of it. Harry hasn't apologized. He hasn't walked back his claims of racism. He hasn't withdrawn his attacks against Camilla, Catherine, or William. So when Charles looks at Harry today, he doesn't just see a son, he sees a threat. The kind of threat that could shatter what little credibility the monarchy still holds. And let's talk about image. Harry and Meghan's entire existence right now depends on staying relevant, staying visible. Some say this push for a meeting with Charles isn't about reconciliation at all. It's about optics. A PR stunt. The perfect headline to keep the Netflix contract alive, to keep their names floating in Hollywood, and to milk fresh sympathy from the public. Here's the hard reality. In Hollywood, Harry and Meghan's star is fading. Their influence has slipped. That big Spotify moment, gone, forgotten. Their media pull isn't what it once was. And what's left to lean on when the world starts moving on? Royal proximity. Just being mentioned in the same breath as the king could be enough to keep the cameras rolling and the checks clearing. And that's where Camilla re-enters with fire in her eyes. No one knows better than her the sting of Diana's shadow. She was vilified for years, branded the other woman, the villain in Diana's tragic tale. Camilla fought for decades to rebuild her public image and eventually won her place beside Charles. She is not about to let Harry blow all of that apart with one reckless documentary. Behind palace doors, insiders say Camilla is digging her heels in, refusing to let Charles fall into emotional traps. She sees Harry's Diana card not as grief, not as closure, but as blackmail. Meet me, or I go nuclear. That's the whispered threat echoing in the corridors of Buckingham and Clarence's house. And make no mistake, palace aides are treating this like war strategy. They know that if Harry plays the Diana card, it won't just hit Charles or William, it will detonate the monarchy itself. And yet they also know that ignoring Harry carries its own dangers. Every path is a landmine. This is why Charles has become so cautious, so silent. Advisors urge him not to comment, not even to deny, because every word feeds the fire. Every word Harry and Meghan thrive on oxygen, and silence is the only weapon the king has left. But Harry's pressure campaign doesn't just target the monarchy. It's aimed at Hollywood too. The couple's golden glow in the industry is fading. Their Spotify deal collapsed, their brand partnerships make little noise, and whispers suggest they're running out of stories. And what's the one story that always sells? The royals. That's why the fear of Harry secretly recording Charles isn't paranoia. Senior courtiers believe it's a genuine risk. Any unsupervised moment, any private word could be twisted, clipped, and spun into content. And so, extreme vetting is becoming the only option. No electronics, no private corners, maybe even sweeps of the room before the king enters. Because for Charles, this isn't just about protecting the crown, it's about protecting himself. William takes an even harder line. Reports say he flat out refuses to sit alone with Harry. It's not coldness, it's self-defense. He doesn't trust that anything he says will stay private. After Harry's explosive claims of racism and other accusations, William believes every word could be twisted into the next viral headline. And Camilla, she's no longer just Charles's wife. She's his shield. She has endured the absolute worst public hate, clawed her way back from being despised, and she will not let Harry drag her name through the dirt again. Insiders insist her influence is one of the strongest forces stopping Charles from giving in to his emotions. Because let's be real, Harry's moves aren't just calculated, they're desperate. The Netflix contract may hinge on what he delivers next. And what sells more than Diana? She is timeless, iconic, and she still makes headlines decades after her death. By casting himself as the torchbearer of her legacy, Harry makes himself relevant again, even if it means reopening the deepest wounds and turning grief into entertainment. But here's the real tragedy. This isn't just a family feud anymore. It's a brand collapsing under the pressure of constant performance. Harry wants to be heard, but the way he's chosen makes reconciliation almost impossible. Charles may love his son deeply, but in this climate, love simply can't survive. Not when every word, every look, every meeting could be weaponized. The situation has spiraled so far that even if a meeting between Charles and Harry happens, it won't feel real. It'll be stage theater, a handshake for the cameras, rehearsed smiles for the headlines, and icy formality beneath it all. Because let's be honest, trust isn't just broken between them, it's shattered into dust. This is no ordinary father-son rift. This is a constitutional hazard. The monarchy itself feels like it's at stake. Every move Charles makes is measured, every step Harry takes is scrutinized, and in between them lies a canyon of betrayal, fear, and suspicion. Whispers in royal circles paint a bleak picture. Palace officials reportedly insist on strict safeguards, no private chats, no casual interactions, and every conversation logged or witnessed. A single slip of the tongue could become global gossip fodder. That's the level of paranoia Harry has sparked. And while all of this is unfolding, the media storm rages. Tabloids feast on every rumor. Commentators debate whether Charles should even consider meeting Harry at all. And yet, the palace knows the painful truth. Even if they stay silent, Harry wins. Even if they refuse him, he still dominates headlines. That's his power right now. Controversy as currency. Meanwhile, Meghan looms in the background, always a part of the story, whether directly or indirectly. Insiders whisper that she sees opportunity in every royal clash. If Charles denies Harry, she gets to play the narrative of the cruel monarchy shutting them out. If Charles agrees, she and Harry can spin it into proof of reconciliation, milked for headlines and content. Either way, the Sussexes walk away with leverage. For Charles, it's a nightmare scenario, a father torn between heart and crown, between love and survival. He wants to be seen as compassionate, but compassion could destroy him politically. He wants to see his son, but one meeting could become Netflix's next explosive season. William, on the other hand, has no illusions. His stance is hardened, cold, unyielding. He believes Harry has crossed too many lines. Attacks on his wife, on Camilla, on the institution itself. For William, there's no turning back. Every headline about Diana, every accusation of racism, every swipe at Kate has etched permanent scars. And unlike Charles, William isn't willing to let emotions cloud judgment. To him, Harry isn't just his brother anymore. He's a liability. Camilla's influence only strengthens William's resolve. Together, they form a protective wall around the king, urging him to see the danger in every plea Harry makes. Their argument is simple. Harry doesn't want peace. He wants material. He wants drama. He wants to use the monarchy for survival, and every time Charles bends, Harry exploits it. William's stance is even harsher. He reportedly refuses outright to be in the same room with Harry without buffers. This isn't brotherly coldness, it's protection. Protection from manipulation, protection from being misquoted, protection from the endless cycle of headlines that Harry seems to thrive on. The racism claims Harry hurled at the family still hang like a cloud, unresolved, unapologized for. And in that silence, resentment grows sharper every single day. Camilla, meanwhile, stands firm like a fortress. She's not simply the king's wife anymore. She's his guard. Having clawed her way back from decades of being labeled the villain, she knows better than anyone how devastating bad press can be. She refuses to let Harry drag her back into the mud. Her influence on Charles is stronger than ever, and insiders say she is one of the loudest voices telling him, "Do not give in." And yet, Harry keeps maneuvering. His moves aren't just strategic, they're desperate. Sources whisper that his entire Netflix deal could hinge on what he delivers next. And what better card to play than Diana? She is timeless. She still sells. If Harry frames himself as her living legacy, he guarantees relevance, even if it means turning his mother's death into a bargaining chip. That's the true tragedy here. This isn't just about a son wanting to reconnect with his father. This is about survival, financial, reputational, emotional. Harry is playing the Diana card not to heal, but to win. And Charles, William, and Camilla know it. That's why reconciliation feels impossible. Every interaction is a trap, every word a risk, every meeting potential ammunition. And so, the monarchy is forced into performance mode. If a meeting happens, it will be stage managed down to the smallest detail. Smiles for the cameras, scripted gestures for the headlines, but behind the facade, the fracture remains wide open. The damage is beyond repair. Advisors warn Charles that even silence has power. The less he says, the less Harry can twist. But silence also has cost. It fuels speculation. It allows Harry to fill the narrative void, and it makes Charles look cold. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And Harry, he knows it. He thrives on it. For him, every denial, every refusal, every delay is another chance to claim victimhood, to spin the story, to keep the spotlight. This is why insiders call it a constitutional hazard, not just a family feud. Because when the king himself cannot safely speak to his son without fearing global consequences, the monarchy stands on shaky ground. And here's the cruelest part. Charles may still love Harry deeply. That paternal instinct hasn't disappeared. But love isn't enough anymore. Not when the stakes are this high, not when one wrong step could echo across the world, ruin reputations, destabilize the monarchy, and even reopen the darkest wounds of Diana's legacy. So where does that leave us? In limbo. Harry will keep pushing, the palace will keep dodging, and the cycle will keep spinning. Because the real tragedy isn't just that Charles won't see his son, it's that he can't. Not honestly, not safely, not without risking everything. And in this twisted royal saga, silence itself has become the loudest voice of all.